If you've got friends coming over at the weekend for a lovely meal, but you're not quite sure what wine to serve them, well, don't worry, because we are joined by Rob Buckhaven here at the Ideal Home Show to talk us through a few ideas. And Rob, you've brought the lot.
I have, because this is like your armoury.
Okay,
so
fine.
You need all of these in your armoury. So we're starting off with a sparkling. I mean, who doesn't love to kick off with a sparkling?
Sparkling. So would this be something that you would serve kind of at the very beginning when people arrive?
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want something like this, and it's not all about champagne these days. You know, I'd love to drink champagne every day, but I just can't afford it.
So why is champagne so sort of exclusive and it's the one? When you've got other things, you've got prosecco, you've got cava, English sparkling wines now as well.
You've got so much going on. Well, Champagne is from a very specific area in northeastern France, and it's basically a very small area, and legally it can only be called Champagne if it's grown and made in that area.
Okay.
So it's very exclusive, and and there has to be there's loads of rules within that. It has to be aged for a minimum amount of time. The grapes have to be a certain quality. So there's quality levels within that. So when you get a bottle of champagne, it's going to be brilliant quality, but you're also paying for it as well. So the Champenois have done an amazing job in marketing the name champagne.
Yeah.
So now, and it's like, it's the same thing as, cheddar cheese, it's same, Melton Mowbray. All of these are legally delineated areas. So it's quite exciting. But then we've got a Cremant here.
I love Cremant.
I love a Cremant. Yeah, so this is one from Aldi. This is actually Cremant de Jura. I love this one like you would not believe. And I'm not even paid to say that. I love it.
So why is this one?
So the bottle, it has got the kind of, if you were just pouring this for people as they came in, they'd assume that was champagne.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that is
definitely.
£10.99.
Really?
Yeah. So it's just
a
over a
deal.
tenner, and sometimes they have a deal on it, so it's under a tenner. But a tenner for a bottle of that is incredible. Cremant is a really good one to go for because it is from France, made in exactly the same way as champagne, but it's a fraction of the price. So how champagne's made is a very specific way. I'll just quickly take you through it.
Yeah, please.
2 fermentations. So they make a white wine. So the white wine they make is deliberately very acidic. You would never want to drink it. And that's deliberate because the acidity is the backbone for the bubbles. So everything fits around the acidity. So then what they do is they will decant that juice that they've made, so the wine they've made, into the bottle. They will put more yeast in the bottle, so a secondary fermentation happens. So that then produces as a byproduct CO2. So the CO2 then can't go anywhere, so it just stays in the wine as bubbles. So the longer you leave it, so you'll hear of some champagnes being left on the lees, which is the dead yeast cells, for like years.
Well, it's a collector's item, isn't it? People invest in champagne.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like Bordeaux, Champagne. They will. So, and what they do is they leave it like this, and someone's job. It used to be someone's job to do this because you have to turn it for about a week before you disgorge it. So the disgorgement process is you've got the yeast there. It's done its business. Yeah. You've left it there for a few years. It's you've got all the bubbles in there. You've got the alcohol, so the alcohol should be about 12.5. But you want to get rid of the yeast. You don't want to keep it in there. So what they do is someone's job. They now have machines to do this, but was a riddler. So it's called riddling. Turn it every day. You turn it a bit more like that until it's kind of upright like that, and all the yeast is here. Yeah. Then what they do is they'll now have a machine that picks it up. It's almost like one of those funfair things. Picks it up and then dips it into a below freezing solution, like glycol solution, which instantly freezes the top of this like a sort of hockey puck. Yeah. And then obviously there's like a tractor tire's worth of pressure in here from all the bubbles. So they very quickly take off, and it will have, at that point, it won't have a cork yet. Yeah. It's got a crown cap like a bottle of beer. So they'll take off the crown cap and the pressure will just expel the little plug of frozen yeast. Yeah. Wow. And then immediately, so they'll do it like that. Then immediately they'll have a pipe that goes in, and they will put a sugar solution, depending on whether you want it brut, a bit sweeter, and that will determine how sweet or dry the end product is. And then the cork goes on as the very last thing, and then they put the label on. That's it, done.
That's it,
So
done.
that's it done. So all of the aging, this is why you don't have to age sparkling wine, because it's all been done for you.
So what is the difference then? I know you spoke about the fact that champagne is done in a really certain way. What about the other popular ones? Cava, prosecco.
Yeah.
Because there is such a difference. And you know, you
Right.
say that with champagne you pretty much can't get a bad bottle.
Yeah.
I would argue you can get a bad bottle of prosecco.
I would absolutely agree with you.
Oh, good.
I
Good,
totally
good,
agree. I mean, prosecco is made with a very different. So still the two fermentations, but instead of the time-consuming one where everything happens in the bottle, it's done in a massive tank.
Oh, so you can get more
So
done.
you can get more done, and also they don't tend to leave it there for too long. So it's bish bash bosh. You know, when the fermentation happens, you know, and it only lasts about a week, you know, to produce these bubbles.
Yeah.
And then they can sell it immediately. So that's why prosecco, they can churn it out, because it doesn't have that kind of and that's why with a bottle of champagne or cremant or cava, so cava's made in the same way as champagne and cremant.
Oh, so if you're a fan of these, then actually go for cava over...
I love cava.
I much prefer it.
Cava's super dry in terms of, that's how the Spanish drink it, because it goes really well with Iberico ham. It's, you know, it's a lovely one. But with prosecco, you don't have to leave it there. So a bottle of champagne or cava or cremant, the longer you leave it there, the finer the bubbles become, the more complexity they take on, because all the yeast is still there. And so you're leaving it for 3 years, you've got these amazingly fine bubbles. That's why when you put it into a glass and you see the bubbles going up, if they're in a really sort of lovely uniform line, very fine bubbles, you know that it's been there for a long time and then it's higher quality. Prosecco, because it's made in a tank, you can see when you pour it into a glass, the bubbles are all over the place. They're big, and they disappear quickly. So with champagne or anything made by the original one that we're talking about, traditional method, will last for longer. So the bubbles should stick around, whereas Prosecco, you leave the glass for half an hour and then it's flat.
There you go.
I mean, obviously there's an exception to the rule.
Yes,
some Proseccos are made in a very different...
And there are some lovely Proseccos.
Yeah,
We don't want to be bashing Prosecco.
Well, I'm not
here.
bashing Prosecco.
I've drunk enough of it in my time to justify that. I do really like it.
Exactly, and that's why the price for Prosecco, I think the average price is around sort of 7-8 quid.
Okay.
And that's why. So Cava is a brilliant one, because the price hasn't come to reflect the quality yet.
Yeah.
Because it had a really bad rap back in the day. People were using it for kind of hen parties and this kind of thing. So it was seen as a kind of like, almost as Prosecco is now. Yeah. But I would say if you like that dry style, Cava is the one.
Okay, so we've got this. Guests have come in.
Yeah.
First thing we're going to serve them is a cremant, a champagne if we're feeling fancy, a good Prosecco, lovely Cava.
Yeah.
Which glass though? Because you see, these a lot, right?
Yeah.
So what would be the difference between these?
So you have the coupe glass, which actually weirdly looks like a martini glass. So the coupe glass was allegedly modelled around Marie Antoinette's breast.
Oh, really?
So this is, I can't remember which one, but it was either right or left. Yeah. And
I can't now not unsee it.
That's the thing. And it's funny because there's an English sparkling wine who I went to an event the other day, and they've made a series of these based on modern women's breasts. So they have a series of glasses which are all different shapes and sizes, and they have the names of the women who've kind of done it. So I love the idea. I think it's great. The only thing with this one is it's lovely, theatrical. It looks very sort of high end. But because of the surface area, you're losing the bubbles very quickly.
Whereas with this one, you don't.
With this one, you don't. So this one's got its own faults. So this is the flute glass, which traditionally, so again, you don't lose the bubbles so quickly, but trying to get the aromas is impossible. You can't swill it round enough, Not that you're supposed to really with sparkling wine, but you really can't get any of the aromas. So again, a little hack is go for a glass like this.
So like a white wine glass.
So a white wine glass, and what you want, ideally, you get some which are shaped like this, and they go in slightly at the top.
Oh, yeah, I've seen them, yeah.
So, but there's one glass in particular, which is called the universal glass. And it was Jancis Robinson who basically said, you don't need multiple glasses for different styles of wine. One glass should do it all. And so she's got one glass, and I use it religiously. I love it. I use it for everything. And it's almost like this in a way. I think it goes in slightly. But you can use it for everything. So,
fantastic.
Shall I open this?
Yeah, go for it.
Should we just go for it?
There's something about the sound. I feel in our last
ritual.
episode we spoke about how scent really triggers
Yeah.
emotions and memories. I feel like the sound of a cork popping out of a bottle of fizz, of whatever fizz you're having, again, it really sparks up some memories.
You're
good
right.
and bad. Good and bad. Mostly
I feel like
good.
there's a story there, or two.
Looking for appliances you can trust to help you create more than just meals? With KitchenAid, you get more than just great tools. You get a brand that's been supporting home cooks and food lovers for over a century. So whether you're mixing dough, blending smoothies, or experimenting with new recipes, KitchenAid products are built for versatility and for lasting performance. Everything from the iconic stand mixer to blenders and food processors is designed to help you express your creativity and get consistent results every single time. And with new colours like Flutter for 2025, you can add a personal touch to your space while enjoying innovation you can count on. Click the link in the description. KitchenAid. Classic style, endless possibilities.
So what you want to do is put your thumb over, I mean, most people know how to do this, but you put your thumb over here. You really want to make, this is called the muselet, or the muselet, this sort of cage thing here. So you obviously do this. And what you should be doing is, right, immediately like that.
Okay, I'm going to get out the way
So
slowly.
you're turning the bottle, not the
Not
cork.
the cork, yes.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't take the, what did you call it
Muselet.
again?
No.
The
You
muselet
don't take that off.
That stays on?
That stays
Okay.
on because you want to use that to get a grip.
Ah, so not
So
using your
as-
tea towel.
No,
No,
I mean, you
no.
can. I mean, some of them are very, very stiff, but
Hey.
there you go. And
There
it
you
shouldn't
go.
really be. So there.
That's
I mean,
okay, we've been
I
throwing
would
it around,
say
haven't we?
that's even too loud. You want to get it really like a whisper.
Okay, I'm going to leave this glass because we're going to come onto the white. So why
Yes.
don't we use these or this one?
Let's use this. And actually, you could see this is a good case in point. So usually you would sort of angle the glass a bit more. But you can see here, it's very lovely and theatrical. And here, you know, both of them are.
So this gives sort of wedding vibes, whereas this gives party
That's
vibes.
good.
That's fine.
Yeah, and obviously, so temperature is very important for sparkling wine. So you want it to start off colder because as it's, the theory being, as it's in your hand, it warms up because obviously you're at an event, you're not going to be downing it. So you'll be talking, and it's warming up in the glass. So if you start with a higher temperature, it's going to be too warm.
And in our last episode with Rob, we spoke about the way we hold white wine,
Yes.
which essentially is a claw.
I love it. I'm listening to you.
But I feel like I can't put that finger below. Oh no, I can. It's
You
fine.
can, yeah. So it's
go and check out that episode because it goes into it in a lot of detail. But
pincer,
it's the pincer.
like a crab, and then so pincer here, the third one under there. So you're wrapping your middle finger underneath it. And with a sparkling wine, you wouldn't really swill it round.
Because this looks like a
in it.
disaster waiting to happen, if I'm being
So,
honest.
so you'll see immediately. So you can see the bubbles going up. You know, relatively fine. They're in a uniform sort of beading. So that's called a beading. So they're relatively uniform. What you do want, weirdly, with a glass like this, with a flute, you want a point. So what they do sometimes is people will get a knife and get a cross at the, because you want a
bottom, yeah.
nucleation point for the
Oh,
bubbles.
wow.
So that's
Okay.
what it's called. Otherwise, you can see here, there's no nucleation point, so they're going from all angles.
Yeah.
So when you scratch it, they will all come up as a single beading like that, and it's called a nucleation point. So you can see immediately, it's kind of gone a little bit flat already.
It has, yes, compared to
And
yours.
compared to mine, which has got tons of bubbles in it. But it does look great.
It does look great.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So this is a Crémant de Jura. So Crémant is made in 9 different regions of France. So Jura is one of them. And I particularly love this one, made in exactly the same way as Champagne. And they can really make them, so you have Crémant de Loire, Crémant de Bourgogne, Crémant de, Limoux. So you have all different, sort of all around France. And, it's a fraction of the price. It's just incredible value.
Such a great deal. Okay, so there's none of the smelling of this one that you need particularly. It's more about
look,
the taste.
Smell it, absolutely. The
not
problem
much
is,
going on there, I'll be honest.
you will smell a lot more in this one. So here, you can see the surface area is bigger, so you will get much more of those aromatics. Here, I mean,
That's delicious.
when I'm drinking from a glass like this, I generally wouldn't even bother.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm like, I'm not really going to get much. There you get a lot more, obviously.
Yes.
And
not as nearly as much as white or something
There
like
really
that.
isn't as much. What you're getting more here is that kind of yeastiness.
Yeah.
So they call it autolysis. So the process is called autolysis of converting, so the yeast converting all of the sugars into alcohol. And what is left is that yeastiness. So people say, oh, this is very autolytic. So that's a word to bust out if you want to impress people.
I was going to say, not the people I hang out with, but
It's
I
like,
love
oh my
that.
God, I love the
So
autolytic nature of
autolytic.
this. Yeah. Oh my God, does it have a nucleation point? So all of
Buzzwords,
these little
buzzwords.
you need that. So you'll see this one, not so yeasty, but what you will get is biscuity notes. So typically with champagne and sparkling, there are those lovely kind of biscuity, almost hobnob
Yes, yeah, I
characters.
can understand that.
Yeah, and then the longer you leave, so here if you can have a vintage champagne, which is left for ages, and generally when you bottle age something versus, so you've taken out the yeast, you've done all that, and you leave it there in bottle, it will develop these nutty characters, like we were talking about the other ones.
Yeah.
So those like really nutty, it will go darker as well. And you'll have that, and it depends. If some people love that style, that really rich, autolytic, yeasty, nutty flavour, almost kind of umami. It gets those lovely kind of savoury characters as well. And I love this. But this is meant to be drunk fresh.
Fantastic.
You know, it's 10 quid. This is amazing. It's Cremant de Jura, and it's Chardonnay, so it's 100% Chardonnay. I think it's got a tiny bit of another white grape, but tiny bit, mainly Chardonnay.
Well, fantastic. So this is, first thing, guests have arrived. This is what we're serving them. Maybe a few nibbles, a few little canapes.
Yeah, I mean, this will go really well. Generally, you'd have it on its own, but you can have it with, you can have it with seafood.
Yes,
so you can
lovely
have
bit of
this
salmon, smoked salmon.
lovely bit of smoked salmon, perfect with that. Because smoked salmon is a little bit rich and oily, and the acidity here, which acidity people are a bit like, oh, I don't like the term acidity. I don't like the because they think it's going to burn them or it's a negative connotation. But acidity really, for a wine, is so important.
Yeah.
Acidity is the structure of a wine. It's like the tannins on a red are the structure of a wine. So the acidity is the backbone. Without acidity, this would taste really flat. Yeah. They'd call it flabby. So a wine is flabby if it has a low acidity. So
Stop it.
There's
so many fancy words, and then flabby is what we're going with.
Flabby, yeah, or blousy is another
blousy.
one. Blousy or flabby. You don't want a blousy or flabby wine.
I would agree.
No,
no
I'm not
blousy
body
wines
shaming
here.
a wine, but you don't want that because it's basically what acidity is. It brings all the flavours together.
Yeah.
And then you have this kind of like the backbone, which then everything else fits around.
All right, we have to move on to our other delicious wines.
So let's have the white.
So we did look at the white in a lot of detail in episode 1 with Rob, but let's have a quick whistle tour.
Let's have a quick
this one.
refresh. So this is a Sauvignon Blanc, and I was saying in the last episode that if you are a novice for, tasting wines, Sauvignon Blanc's a great one to get started with because it has got such particular flavours. Actually, a really good fun fact is, in some Sauvignons, you get bell pepper flavours.
Oh.
And it's one of the only grapes that actually shares the compounds of what it's being described as. So it shares compounds with bell pepper, with green pepper. So when you taste it, you're tasting the actual compound that both have. Generally, when you go, this tastes of mango, it all smells of mango. It doesn't have. It's got other compounds elements that will come together and do something similar. Whereas this actually has those.
That's such a pub quiz question,
I
isn't it?
know.
At some point that's going to come up and you're going to go, I can't believe I know the answer to this.
Yeah, you'll be like, oh God, I didn't think I'd use that. So this one is from Chile. So Chile and Sauvignon Blanc, lovely. Chile's a great place to go for value for money because they call it a viticultural paradise because they've got the Andes, which obviously the snow runs off and melts and irrigates all the vines. So that brings down the cost. Generally, people have to irrigate, have to water their vines and that costs money. So that goes into the price. But here it's done naturally.
Oh,
you have different microclimates, so they can grow virtually anything. High altitude in some places, which means the higher the altitude, the more of that lovely acidity we were talking about. So it makes the wine fresher.
Fantastic.
And this is a nice one.
Okay, so we're getting the claw out again.
Getting
Pincher,
the claw.
not a claw.
I was wondering where you were going with that. Getting the claw out.
Now, in episode 1 with Rob, I really failed at slurping wine in any shape or form. So you go, show it how it should be done.
This is how we're doing it. Right.
Having a big
Nose
old
in the
sniff.
glass. So you're swirling it around first of all. So you're releasing the flavours.
Yes,
so you're
fantastic.
turning up the volume on the wine, nose in the glass. I mean, lovely. You get it's so expressive, this one. And then thirdly, a third of a mouthful. So if in doubt, less rather than more. Gargle if you want. Love it.
I just actually physically don't know how you do that without it dribbling out your mouth, which is not what we want.
I really want. We're gonna get to the stage where that's going to be easy.
Episode 4
it's
will
going
be
to be
all
easier.
Okay,
We'll
but
probably be all
gargling's-
over the place, actually, yeah.
Gargling's really great because it does release all those flavours in your
Absolutely,
mouth. It's
yeah.
fantastic.
So gargling,
If in doubt, gargle.
if in doubt, gargle. And the process is, it enhances your tasting by about 100 times. This one's lovely, it's very fresh. I mean, this is under a tenner, so it's not meant to be
Great.
anything fancy.
And what
It's
would
got
you
89
serve
points.
this with?
So this, I would serve with shellfish, oysters, really
Great.
good.
It's quite good starters.
Really good starters, but again, you could do it with smoked salmon, you could do it with chicken dishes, anything kind of lightweight that's not going to clash with it. Tuna, carpaccio, something like that. So nothing too meaty, but fresh food. Oh, the other thing you can match with Sauvignon, which is very difficult to match with, is goat's cheese.
Oh,
Goat's cheese is a nightmare to match with anything. But Sauvignon seems to be one of the only grapes that can match to it.
I can see that because they're both quite rich. They've got that.
Very rich, yeah.
Yeah, but the acidity in that will cut through it, which is
Absolutely, nailed it.
the extent of my technical
Well, you
knowledge on
sound like you
wines.
know
Thank
what
you
you're
very
talking
much.
about.
When will we talk about the rosé? That was what I was
Oh,
quite
sorry, yeah,
interested
we've got the rosé.
Rosé being such a summer drink, that's when people think about it. The minute the sun comes out, let's get the rosé out, pale rosé. But you are on a bit of a campaign to break that, to get us having rosé throughout the year.
Absolutely, yeah.
Why is that?
Because I feel like it comes to about October and people are like, done, rosé's over.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they almost go, right, any rosé they have left, they kind of leave for spring next year. Yeah. And I'm like, rosé does some of its best work in the winter.
Interesting.
Like it really does. The Christmas table, and I was saying this before, just think of turkey and trimmings, right?
Yeah,
so you've got turkey, you've got cranberry sauce, you've got the sprouts, you've got the gravy. That is possibly going to overpower. Like turkey is a very subtle meat.
Yeah, absolutely.
And unless you're having duck or goose or something, that would go really well. But turkey itself is quite subtle. So this, and probably this wouldn't stand up to the gravy, for example, but this, in between the two, has enough of that fruit character to actually stand up to the gravy, but it won't overpower the meat.
Fantastic.
So actually, on the Christmas table, I always bust out rosé. I just think rosé, and people are like, what? What are you doing? That's a summer drink. And I'm like, no, have some.
Drink it.
Have it with,
So on a very fundamental level, because I think it's a question that comes up time and time again, is the differences between the wines. So
Yeah.
actually, what makes a white wine white?
Yeah.
What makes a red wine red?
Yes.
What makes a rosé rosé?
Absolutely. So a white wine is made from a white grape.
Yeah.
And so all of the colour in a grape and most of the flavour is in the skin.
Yeah.
So how they make it is, so they will press the grape and then they will, with white wine, they just take it off, remove it from the skins entirely.
Great.
So they don't, unless you're doing an orange wine, which they then leave on the skins.
Yeah.
But with a white wine, the work is done. You don't need the skins anymore because
Perfect.
you really want that juice within the grape, which is actually quite subtle. It doesn't actually taste of that much. So, but with a rosé, so you are leaving it on the skin. So typically with a rosé, you will make it from red grapes because with a red grape, same thing. All of the color and most of the flavor is in the skin.
In the skin.
So rosés are almost entirely made from red grapes because you need that red color.
Yeah.
So generally, only in a few places. Weirdly, Champagne is one place where you can mix red and white wines to get a rosé. Generally in the world, they don't do that. It's not done. It's not actually legal to do it that way.
Certainly shouldn't pour it in your glass.
Don't ever try and blend yourself. No, I've had people do that and it's just disastrous.
Sounds
Anyway,
so
yeah,
gross.
it's not good. But here, what they will do is they will press the red grapes.
Yep.
And, I think this is made from Tempranillo, which is a Spanish grape. This is a Spanish rosé from Aldi. Lovely, lovely one. So they will press the grapes and they will leave it on the skins maybe for, depending on how dark you want that to be. This is very light. So it's probably only a few hours. So they will leave it on the skins to soak up a little bit of the pigment, and then they'll remove it. So within that pigment, you also get a little bit of tannins. You get a little bit of, people talk about structure of a wine. So like acidity we were talking about is part of the structure, that's the backbone. So the tannins are a bit like the kind of, the meat on the bones. So they will, but you need a little bit of those tannins. So when you have a pink wine or a rosé, you'll get a little bit of structure, but it won't be like a red wine. So red wine obviously makes your lips blue, and you will really chew those. You talk about chewy tannins with a big red wine, like a Malbec.
Yeah.
And that's why they can last for longer, because it's that Botox for wine. We were talking about acidity being Botox for white wine. The more acidity, the longer it's going to last.
Fantastic.
Same with tannins in red wine. So this gets the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So let's have a go and you'll see what I mean. Typically, if I was on a wine tasting and I'm tasting, some wine tastings you're tasting 150 150 wines at a go.
So that's all it's there for.
So that's all it's there for. That's
Fantastic.
what, and it's when you have multiple wines to try, kind of like we do. You wouldn't usually drink them, but we're friends.
We're friends, we can just pour it out, it's fine.
Here you go. So a little bit.
It's very clear, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is a lovely one. It's very clear, you can see. This is so people they're drawn to, it was really Provence that started it. Yeah. That very, very pale.
Absolutely, it's automatically what I go to.
Yeah. And they call it salmon pink or ballet slipper pink. Oh. And so you can see here, they've done that. So Spain, weirdly, it usually sort of produces those darker rosés, almost like a light red wine. But they've gone on the bandwagon now and they're producing wines like this. So you can see only a touch of colour. But let's swirl it round and see what we get. So on the nose, let's see what we get. And it's very subtle.
It's very subtle.
Like a bit of red berry going on. I get a bit of sort of cranberry, a little bit of red currant.
I was going to say cranberry. Yes.
Strawberry. Oh, yeah. And as it warms up as well, you'll get more strawberry. So like wild strawberry, which is that more pungent version.
Really rich.
The really rich, version. So then, so you do this. So a third of a mouthful.
I'm just saying what you're saying, aren't I? Yeah, strawberries, really rich.
I love strawberries.
Actually, I definitely. Probably more strawberries than cranberries, to be fair.
Loads of strawberries are on the palate. It's brimming with strawberries. And you see what I mean? So with this one, you're getting all the acidity, all the subtlety of the white wine, but you're getting a little bit of that kind of red berry flavour coming in as well.
Which would go really well with the cranberry sauce.
Absolutely.
So I completely understand that about the turkey,
Yeah. And because this has got that fruit character, it's by no means sweet. This is very dry profile, because in this country we love dry wines. Yeah. So this has got that fruitiness that some people mistake for sweetness. But that fruitiness will then stand up to the gravy, which is quite a meaty thing. So you almost have it kind of operating a little bit like a red wine in that respect.
So I could see this actually fitting for any part of the meal.
Absolutely.
Because you just have this with a dessert, really.
You can have this with a dessert. Yeah, you can have it with, and if you're having a turkey curry the next day, this is perfect, because that little bit of fruit will stand up to chili. People often say, I don't know what to have with a curry, so I go for a beer. And I always say to them, try a rosé. And rosé works.
I can see that. That's really nice, actually.
Because it won't clash. What you don't want to happen when you're matching it with food is that clash. Yeah. So we were talking about Sauvignon Blanc going really well with goat's cheese, but goat's cheese has got that goatiness, which I don't know what the word is for that, but it's got a goatiness to it.
It's got
earthy, a sort of animal.
The only thing that goat's cheese has. There's nothing else that has that goatiness.
If there's a word for it, please just let us know in the comments. But and you can tell when a Chardonnay, for example, would clash with it.
Yes.
So you almost get like a metallic taste when you know it's not working.
And a Pinot would be too light. You'd lose the taste.
Actually, a red wine with that could work.
Oh, red. Okay.
Yeah. So a red with and I haven't tried Pinot actually with goat's cheese. I'm going to try that later.
There we go.
But we know that Sauvignon works. But when you get that sort of clash of flavours, and you'll know it when you come across it, then you'll be like, these don't work.
So rosé then, that would pretty much go with any part of the meal.
So deseasonalised rosé, so it shouldn't just be for summer.
Fantastic.
It's across the board.
And at your dinner party, if someone doesn't like red, not a big fan of dessert, this actually could fill that gap at any time.
Absolutely, yeah. And a lot of people are, say, like, you don't particularly like red wines.
Not a big fan. Don't mind some.
Rosé is a gateway drink.
Yeah.
So it's the gateway drink that could possibly, if you wanted to then try Pinot Noir, which is quite a light style of red, you might then like it.
Noir.
Okay,
yes, yeah.
Yeah. So for people who go, oh, I don't like reds, gateway.
Yeah.
You know, some people say, oh, you don't get fine rosés. I disagree. I think, you know, and I'm not talking about Whispering Angel because, you know, but I think there are some are now aged in, you know, and so they have, it's almost like a Burgundy. So you know, there's certain wine writers who say, do not spend more than £15 on a rosé. I think you can. You can absolutely get fine rosés. So I'm on that crusade to disprove, to kind of bust these myths.
You know what, Rob? I think we're going to pause there. We've covered the first half of our dinner party. We've had our bubbles, we've got the white rosé as well, which pretty much can go anywhere. Do let us know as well in the comments if you are a winter rosé drinker and what you pair it with throughout the winter months. Maybe a nice Sunday roast. But we're going to come back for part 2 of our dinner party.
Extravaganza.
Dinner party extravaganza, where we're going to cover red and dessert wines as well, and just look at how we can pair them too. So thank you so much for watching. Do give us a like and a subscribe, and we'll see you for part 2.